Hi, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is the holiday version of Northwest Brew Talk. Each and every week, we promote the Washington brewing industry by talking to those people involved in drinking Washington beer. With over 300 breweries, we try to highlight as many as possible in every episode. If you're new to the show, we suggest you check out our back catalog with some great interviews and lots of Washington beer. Today, we will be doing our holiday show with 3 holiday beers. This is episode 47, and we have an interview with Odin Brewing, our brew news and views, and local music from the Winterlings.
If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, why not become a patron? With a donation, we offer everything from guest hosting a show to a copy of our upcoming book, Washington Beer. Head over to nwbrewtalk.podbean.com for more details. And to start the show, let's open a beer.
All right, our first of our holiday beers is Mistletoe Bliss from Lazy Boy Brewing.
Lazy Boy Brewing is located in Everett and is family-friendly as well as pet-friendly. I remember seeing their cat wandering around the brewery when we were visiting. They are open Wednesday through Sunday, and you're welcome to bring your own food. They do offer snacks and like popcorn and pretzels, and of course, they have some awesome beer.
And this beer is very dark.
Their Mistletoe Bliss is a new brown ale on steroids. Stock up now to warm those cold winter nights. 7.5% ABV and an untapped rating of 3.55.
7%?
7%, yes. This is a dark beer.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know.
It doesn't taste like a 7%.
No, not really. Not really. It's got a different flavor. Do you know what's in it?
No, they have the shortest description.
Yes. It is bottled, though. That's one thing. I think this is one of the first bottles we found of Lazy Boy beer.
We've seen their IPA bottled.
Okay. Yeah, and we've gotten growlers before, but
yeah.
I like the picture of Santa Claus under the mistletoe. You know, that's not bad. You have to sip it a few times, but it's not a bad beer. It tastes good with some food, which I could use right now. I could always use some food.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Okay, and after I cut out 5 minutes there,
sorry.
Do our brew news and views.
Topping this week's news, Livability.com released a new list of the best 99 beer cities in the U.S. Their criteria was, quote, they are good places to live, they are consumers of craft beer, and they are producers of the best beer around, unquote. They worked with RateBeer.com to match beer ratings with livability and limited each state to just 3 cities, so every state had a shot, which means many Northwest and particularly Washington cities were left out. Interestingly, the highest-ranked Northwest city was Redmond at number 7. They mentioned Microsoft, Nintendo, and AT&T as well as Mac and Jack's as the reason. Seattle is the next Washington city, coming in at a surprisingly low 32. They mentioned 60 breweries and Fremont Brewing in particular. The final Washington city is Port Townsend at 37 and Port Townsend Brewing. Now, while we don't necessarily agree with the ratings, as Waterbury, Vermont is the number 1 city, their choices were interesting to say the least. Congrats to the cities and breweries mentioned in this inaugural listing.
Yeah, that was definitely something different. I mean, it really was based on high rate beer ratings and the livability ratings. That's really, I think, the only thing that they went by. So it was interesting. Maybe they'll tweak it for next year because a city like Seattle has to be higher than that.
Yeah, you would think so. Definitely.
Even
that's pretty low.
I mean, 7 was Redmond.
Uh-huh.
That was even before Portland. So I don't know. All right. Even more congratulations are due to Schooner Exact Brewing. The Seattle brewery entered its Hopvine IPA into the Brussels Beer Challenge, in Brussels, of course, where they won the Comac Award for Best in Show. This is the 4th year for the competition, and this year there were 1,100 beers entered. So that's pretty impressive for them. Schooner announced they will be releasing Hopvine as a year-round beer. And on Monday, December 21st, they will be celebrating with beer specials and the award presentation. Then on the 26th, they will have a barrel-aged bash featuring rare barrel-aged beers. Congrats to Schooner Exact. Ellenberg's Iron Horse Brewery will be releasing their best-selling Quilter's Irish Death Beer in 12-ounce cans in the spring of 2016. And Seven Seas Brewing is now available across Washington with an expanded partnership with Odin Corporation and Dickerson Distributors. The east side of the state and the northwest counties now will all have access to their products.
Thrillist.com released their list of best new Seattle breweries of 2015. Some of these have recently opened, so making the list was impressive. A few aren't even in Seattle, so the list should be best near Seattle breweries. Topping the list was Drew Brew, followed by Resonant Brewery and Pizzeria, Sumerian Brewing, Ghostfish Brewing, Optimism Brewing, Anderson School Brewery, Mollusk Restaurant and Brewery, Flying Bike Cooperative, Lucky Envelope, and Holy Mountain Brewing. Another good list for a state full of great breweries. Angel of the Winds Casino in Arlington recently opened a new brewery, Angel's Tap House Brewery. Said to be the first tribe-owned brewery, they have 8 custom-brewed beer on tap and serving artisan pizza and smoked delicacies. Hilliard's Beer has released its first bottled beers, Chardonnay Saison and Suffering Bastard Saison. Both were aged in barrels for a year and are available in 750 milliliter bottles for $15 each.
All right, our last news story of the day. AB InBev, the parent of Anheuser-Busch, has been trying to find a way to crush craft beer makers, but has been unable to. Now, with the purchase of several distributors and a new incentive program, it could make it more difficult for beer makers wanting to expand their territory. For distributors that sell 98% of AB InBev products, they may qualify for rebates on marketing costs up to $1.5 million. Plus, any craft brewery they carry has to produce less than 15,000 barrels per year. So they put some serious restrictions on them. Wow. AB InBev is purposely trying to once again make it difficult to distribute craft beer. But if you think like Mike Hale of Hale's Ales, he thinks the best beer is the beer closest to you. So, as he would say, buy local. As a funny side note, AB InBev CEO Carlos Brito testified that the merger with SAB Miller will increase competition, not diminish it. And how is that? By that he meant by divesting itself of Miller to the Miller Coors Company, they're going to increase competition, apparently just amongst themselves. And that, my friends, is the brew news and views this week.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. Or if you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you like us, a review or rating would be really appreciated, but make sure to tell your friends about Northwest Brew Talk.
All right. And our holiday show continues with our next beer. This is Kris Kringle Traditional Yuletide Ale from McMenamin.
So our second beer tonight was gifted to us from McMenamin. Thank you very much.
Yes,
their Kris Kringle Traditional Yuletide Ale is available November 13th through December 25th.
Smells good.
The Busy as Elves McMenamin's brewers have created another wonderful gift for your taste buds this holiday season. Busy as Elves.
All busy as elves.
The 2015 version of Kris Kringle is a hearty and robust ale with a big and bold malt complexity as well as an intense and flavorful hop profile. This, quote, winter warmer highlights the rich, toasty, aromatic, and chocolatey malt flavors as its very sturdy foundation. Generous amounts of 2 different hop varieties were added in 5 different editions, which delivers a magnificent and massive hop assault. There's still some ginger and cinnamon added to the batch, but the spices are a little more subdued than in years past. It's got an ABV of 6.84%, 76 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 3.58.
Now, this is like a copper color, and it is pretty good. This one, definitely hoppier.
Oh, wow, I like that, yeah.
Hoppier, a little more bitter, But
probably sell well in the Northwest with their
with their what?
With their hop obsession.
Oh yeah. What were you gonna say?
The
with
words
their
words just wouldn't come out.
Yeah. No, this one's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It says that
I'm trying to taste the other spices in there.
the spices
I'm not quite tasting
and,
them,
and stuff. No, but
that doesn't say much because I'm not big on that.
No, but it's
I'm not very
good.
good at that.
No, it's good.
Picking out flavors.
And that is our second holiday beer. We've got one more to go. And now we're going to talk to Nick Heppenstall from Odin Brewing. We'll be right back after that. Okay, we're here with Nick Heppenstall from Odin Brewing. How are you today, Nick?
Doing great.
Awesome. All right, so why don't we talk a little bit about your background? I mean, what made you want to get into brewing?
Yeah, so it was kind of happenstance actually to get where I am now. I was a biologist and did a lot of microbiology, which ended up tying in very closely with making beer. But I kind of took on a whim took an opportunity to work at Mac and Jack's and never went back to the sciences.
So that was just once you got a taste of the beer, then you didn't want to go back, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, it was in the labs I was working in, I would propagate up yeast, grow it, isolate them or bacteria, and then get what we needed from it, throw away the growth media, and as soon as I was made it into the brewing community, I thought it was exactly the same thing I was doing. I was just propagating up the yeast, isolating what I want, which is the growth media, and then reusing the yeast or throwing it away or what have you. And so there's a total tie-in there, and and the brewing community is fantastic. And of course, at the end of the day, you get to make beer.
Yes.
So I'd done a little bit of home brewing, but it was pretty rudimentary. And as any home brewer can attest, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's terrible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoy obviously the brewing itself. That's clearly a passion, but also the breweries working with lots of mechanical issues, electrical, planning, logistics, and it's not just making the product, it's making the product that can get through the supply chain and get to the customer, and hopefully taste as good as it does at the brewery by the time anybody around the world tastes it.
Right.
So
how long were you at Mac and Jack's?
About 5 years.
Okay. So where did you start out when you went there?
I started out as a grunt, washing kegs.
Okay.
And after, I don't know, let's say a year or two or so, kind of went through the system. They made me a brewer fairly, quickly, and then ended up being the lead brewer for a while before taking the role here at Odin.
Okay, and when did you come to Odin?
Let's see. I came over here about a year after Dan started. He started the company in 2009.
Right.
And so I believe I started here around 2010, maybe the early 2011.
Okay.
So I've been here about 4 years.
All right. And what was your position when you started there?
I was brought in as the head brewer.
Oh, you were? Okay. And you've been head brewer.
Yeah.
Head brewer ever since.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as anyone that works in a brewery long enough knows, you have to wear many hats. So,
right.
Head brewer generally means that you also are the head toilet scrubber and all other things that aren't that much fun. But
right.
But one of the perks is that you also get to make great beer.
Right. So you've been there as Odin has grown into be a pretty popular brand then, and you've seen them move from Seattle to Tukwila then too.
Yep. Yeah, we're in the process of that right now. It's it's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun too.
So, what now? When you or Daniel want a new beer, how does that come about? How do you guys work that out?
So it kind of depends on what our goal is in that beer. So there's beers for each season. There's beers for different package types. There's beers that are festival beers, and there's beers that are kind of ones that you might just want to taste at a tap room in a small quantity rather than take home a half-gallon growler. Mm-hmm. So first we want to identify what our goal is for that product. So if we're trying to make something that's going to go out in let's say a bomber in a 22-ounce bottle, we're going to look for flavors and strength and components in that beer that tune well with a larger volume and one that's good to share. So, for example, Equinox, which is our Belgian strong ale, it's a great bottle or bomber product because it's 9% alcohol. You can split it with some friends. You can drink the whole thing if you want that. Whereas something like a Pilsner or something like that would be a much better draft or 12-ounce product, just because if I sit down and drinking a great Pilsner, I might want to have a couple pints of it. So first we're kind of looking at the target package format, and it sounds pretty, sounds kind of removed from the actual flavors, but we're always considering that the whole way through. But then we'll look at how that fits into our portfolio, because there's something to be said about having a nice diversity of flavors. We don't want to have 6 different stouts on all at the same time. Right. So we kind of look at where we see holes in our portfolio, or where seasonal changes like wintertime. I personally want a stronger maltier beer this time of year. It just feels right. Mm-hmm. And so now might not be the time to pop out a Helles or a light lager. That's something that I'd really like in the summertime when it's hot and really refreshing. And then once we get past that stage, I work with my brewers to identify things that we like in other people's products, things that we don't see in the other people's products, and then just try and craft it from there. Okay.
And now one of the things that Odin does is they like to develop their beer for food, don't they?
Mm-hmm. So our core lineup of beers, our main, the standards that you'll see year round, are generally tailored to be able to pair nicely with food or be consumed when I would also be eating. So whether that's a gourmet meal or a barbecue, or it's different for every person. It's different for every situation. But what that means is most of the flavors aren't going to be in those core beers, aren't going to overpower the flavors in the food, and are designed to complement them rather than compete with them. Okay.
And so how are you able to use your science background as a brewer?
Well, we do that day in and day out every day when we're making products, and we have our own little rudimentary lab that we use to do our own quality control and whatnot. But as a small brewery, there's limited resources. There's only so much that we can do in house. So sometimes we have to farm that kind of thing out. But I look pretty closely at the specs of our beer and how we're fitting into those, and what we can do to continuously improve that. And that's where for me, science is the most fun. It's also useful, but identifying the deficiencies in our own product that we can always continuously improve.
Right. So, do you find that it is a challenge to constantly keep the same standard for the same beer over batch over batch?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have the advantage of making larger volumes, and so it's much easier than on, say, like the homebrew scale. But but it's one of those things that you have to remember that quality is first and foremost. It's one of our highest priorities. And even though we do see some variation in our grain and our hops and even our water and yeast, we've got we have the tools to be able to adapt to those, and hopefully we can adapt to those before they become an issue. So I wouldn't say it's not like we're losing sleep over it every night, although sometimes maybe we should be. But we're really just it's something that has to be ingrained in the culture and in the process to be able to be done well. Since I don't have a whole lab staff, running around checking everything for me, it's going to be, it's going to be the brewer or the whoever's helping them out, or myself doing it while we're in our daily routine of making beer, packaging beer, doing all that stuff.
Right. So, have you had to adjust like your water? Have you had to do anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw some interesting things happen this last year with it was the city changing water sources. It made a noticeable impact on our our mash chemistry, and it's one of those things that we watch, and then if we see something happening, really it means that we missed our opportunity to catch it beforehand, but the reason that we are always checking is so as soon as it does happen, we can adjust to fix it before it cascades into a much larger problem.
Right. So, what size system do you have now?
We have a 15-barrel system.
Okay.
So it's kind of an old one, but it's built solid and it makes beer.
Now, is that the system that's in Tukwila?
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you move? Did you just move that system? Is that how you work?
We're in the process of it. We haven't actually moved it
Okay.
yet, but it will be early next year.
Okay. So you're just moving the system over then?
Yeah, we're just moving the system.
Okay. Now,
yeah, we found there's certain advantages too. I mean, larger systems are great for getting more volume, but we also have a pub down there, and we want to make sure that we've got a lot of different beers available, and so it's really nice to be able to pop out a smaller batch now and then to supply just new varieties, different styles,
right,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
something for the barrel program, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, definitely. And that is something that's common. You have your regular customers always looking for what's the next big thing that you've got, right?
Yeah.
So what haven't you brewed that you'd like to try, or different spices or something like that?
Mm-hmm. There's some kind of off the wall styles that I honestly don't think I'll get to brew on our larger system, but would be really fun. Some of the more historical things like the smoked oat beer, or stuff like that. That I really aren't. I can't imagine are that delicious to drink, but would be really fun to make. But I always like brewing lagers. It's not really my thing, but I think they're interesting and they're fun, and I love the flavors that you can get out of them. So we haven't done a Helles. That would be one that would be really fun to do. We did a Baltic Porter last year that was delicious. That was a blast. A little bit different than your traditional lighter lagers. Mm-hmm. Same thing. We haven't done a true Vienna lager, which is one of my favorite styles.
So as a brewer, you like to experiment and do different things, but like you said, sometimes they might not come out what people would want to drink.
Yeah, but that's something that we can do. Always pull out a pilot system and do a couple kegs of it and
right.
That kind of thing. But I prefer whenever possible to just do it for real, because the control that we have on a large system is so much greater, and the reproducibility, and then if it does turn out great, it's easy to scale it up. Right. Going from small to large isn't always like a linear process.
Mm-hmm. So Have you entered any of your beers in competitions?
We do from time to time. I'm personally not that big on the competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I think there's anything wrong with them. I actually think they're great. But it is slightly time consuming, and there you do incur a small cost.
Right.
But we've gotten a couple awards for the Washington State awards, which I prefer the local ones just because we're a small local company, and
right.
I like the feedback from the local community.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that more than I do from, say, somebody in New York or Colorado. Not to badmouth them, because they do a great job as well. But
I
as we
get
expand, that'll become more of a priority. But I think our Equinox got an award this year. Our Baltic Porter got one last year. So I can't think any off the top of my head beyond those, but.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like you sell to the local people. You
mm-hmm.
want their feedback more than you do somebody from across the country.
Oh, totally. And to me personally, it's if I go up to a bar and sit down and somebody says, "Man, I love your IPA or your amber or whatever," that's worth so much more than a GABF gold medal. Like, I mean, or anything, because that's a real human right there. That you made their day a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally understand that. So are there any types of any grains or yeasts or hops or anything that you guys or you personally like to use more than others?
So I mean, we're in the Northwest. Hops are the thing. So there's a lot out there that I think are great, and we try experimenting here and there with different ones, see the flavors that we get, just like anyone else around here does. And there's some really neat guys out there that give you interesting different flavors,
mm-hmm.
or just kind of standard flavors, but they come through really nicely. But as far as the malt goes, there's a couple that I've used that I've been really, really happy with. We use Golden Naked Oats, which are a malted oat, in a couple of our beers, which I really like. They're also fun to eat just raw.
Okay.
They don't have the husk, so it doesn't get stuck in your teeth, and they taste like grape nuts or something. They're delicious. And there's a couple of products out there that are kind of high roast base malts, I guess would be the best term. So they give a real rich, deep color to it, but
mm-hmm.
You can ferment out completely. Red X is one that comes to mind, and I want to say it was like maybe like a 10 Lovibond or 6 Lovibond. I'm probably way off on that number, but but it imparts a real deep golden color to the beer, or even a red color, and it's a flavor profile that's a little unique, different than what you would find off of just your basic, Pilsner malt or pale malt.
Okay. Have you looked at doing anything with Skagit Valley Malting?
Yes, actually, we were just talking about them, and I think what they're doing is really cool. Bringing the kind of the terroir back to beer, because wine really owns that, as getting the local flavor,
mm-hmm.
and beer has been separated from that for quite a long time.
Right.
And part of it's just malt stays good for a long time, so
mm-hmm.
it's easy to store it and use it later, which makes it easy to ship as well.
Right.
But yeah, the stuff that they're doing is pretty cool, and the fact that they can custom roast
mm-hmm.
To give you some different flavors, is really amazing. So we haven't had a chance to go full bore, but it's something we're definitely looking into.
Yeah, definitely. Since you guys do some different types of beers, I mean, that could definitely be something that would work well with you.
Yeah. And I like to support local before supporting global if possible.
Sure.
So the fact that they're here is even more enticing than if it was California malting or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So what was the first craft beer that you fell in love with?
Oh, geez. It would probably be, I would have to say it probably was Red Hook, their ESB, just because that was kind of, when I was, coming of drinking age, that was kind of the thing. And I lived down in Portland when I turned 21, and so Bridgeport was a big influence, as well as, Rogue out on the coast, because I spent a lot of time out on the coast. So, going to Rogue was pretty high on the list of things to do.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What are your goals as a brewer? What do you see, the future for you?
Well, first and foremost, just making sure that quality is always there. That's what kind of drives me day in and day out, is to be able to see a high quality product that goes from raw material all the way out into the field and gets to the customer. And that's a process that you never stop improving. There's always something you can do. So that's both intellectually, interesting, as well as practically, compelling. And then as far as, more like just straight up beer centric stuff, as much as anyone else, I always like making a new, different, something interesting, different. And then when you pour it that first time and taste it and you're like, yeah, I nailed it. Or, like, oh, that's good, but improve it. Those are really fun aspects. And then also just trying, like I said before, the yeast is kind of where I got my start. So I like to ferment anything.
Okay.
We'll, even if it's not for work down here at the brewery, just, if it's got sugar, it will ferment.
Right.
And most of the time, it's not very good, but every once in a while you find something and you're like, oh, that actually tastes pretty good, or at least is unique and interesting.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be even confined to beer. I mean, I've made some pretty poor wine, and and done some ciders and whatnot, and they're all fun. It's just an amazing, organism that can do things that I can't do myself.
Right. Yeah, I used to grow grapes and make wine in the 1 year when I made it. I think I wasn't counting how much sugar I put in, and it turned into syrup.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But, all right. Nick, thanks very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
All right, and thanks to Nick from Odin. We appreciate that. We will be right back after a local music break from the Winterlings.
I left my parents across the ocean, just shy of 20. I was free. I cut my hair and bound my breast and joined the army of the Tennessee. Oh, mama, I am your daughter, but a wife I will never be. I'll be a soldier until my last breath delivers me. I marched on Vicksburg and fought in Guntown, where we lost more than 2,000 men. And though once captured, I got away and returned to fight on until the end. Oh, mama, I am your daughter, but a wife I I mustered out when the war was over and went back home to find employ as a janitor and farmhand on the plains of East Illinois. Oh, mama, I am your daughter, but a wife I will never be. I'll be a soldier until my last breath delivers me. As a veteran, I was respected. I'd fought for rights men hold so dear, but till those freedoms extend to women, I live my days as Albert Cashier. Yeah. I'm no one's mother, I'm no one's father. Leave my estate in the county's hands and bury me in dark blue trousers like any other union man. Oh, mama, I am your daughter, but a wife I will never be. I'll be a soldier until my last breath delivers me. I'll be a soldier until my last breath delivers me.
That was Jenny Hodgers by the Winterlings. You can check them out at winterlings.com. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today. And now let's try our final beer of the evening. This time we have Pike Old Acquaintance Hoppy Holiday Ale.
Sounds good.
Pike Brewing Company is located in Seattle and has been open since 1989 and is open 7 days a week. They're family friendly and have a great menu with some amazing beers. They're also family owned. Something important to note there.
Yep.
Pike Old
Nice place.
Acquaintance is a great place, actually. A lot of great memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, it really
The
was.
museum in there is awesome.
Yeah, actually, some of the photos for our Washington beer book are taken right from memorabilia there.
Yes, and very friendly staff, too.
Yep.
Pike Old Acquaintance is a dark and toasty amber ale with refined spices brewed to complement holiday foods. This festive and flavorful seasonal beer is subtle spices and aromatic orange notes to please your nose and palate. Pike Old Acquaintance is lower in alcohol than most winter beers, so you can enjoy one or two during those long Northwest winter nights. Happy holidays from Pike Brewing Company.
Definitely a different one. Again, a copper color. This one you can taste spices in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got that nutmeg, I think, right off the top.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's good. 2015's Pike Auld Acquaintance label honors the venerable beer writer Michael Jackson. An Englishman, Michael started writing seriously about beer in 1976 and wrote until the time of his death in 2007. He was passionate about introducing people to beers they had yet to try, and many people credit him with rekindling interest in beer via his books, articles, and TV show. Michael was also one Pike Brewing Company's founder and owner, Charles's close friends. He christened the Pike Pub as, quote, a shrine to beer, unquote. And this beer has 6.5% ABV and 28 IBUs and a untapped rating of 3.48.
This is good beer, though. It's got some nice flavors to it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's definitely different. Not quite as dark as
Yeah, the Lazy Boy beer was a dark beer.
Mm-hmm.
The Kris Kringle from McMenamin's was a hoppier beer, but this one is it's kind of
it's got that winter flavor, that holiday seasonal flavor,
yeah.
and in a beer, it's really good. I mean, I'm not surprised. Pike is usually, we've liked, I think, every beer that we've had of theirs.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And we did a good job of picking 3 completely different holiday beers.
Yep, obviously. That was good.
I want you to give me fresh beer. You serious?
This week's fresh beer will be on tap at Holy Mountain Brewing Company. On Friday, December 18th at noon, Holy Mountain Brewing will be releasing 2 new oak-aged beers in bottles and on draft at Holy Mountain Brewing Tap Room. They are making some changes to improve the experience for everyone who comes out to buy bottles on the 18th. Misère au Bournage is a foeder-aged grisette brewed with a large quantity of both raw and malted wheat and aged for many months with a mixed culture of Brett and lacto in one of their foeders. Misère was then fermented in a bottle with Brett and allowed to condition for 3 months. This grisette is nicely tart, dry, and funky. They say it is their best batch of grisette to date. $15 and only 4 bottles per person per day. The Cascade Table is an American table sour fermented and aged in oak with a mixed culture of Brett and lactic acid bacteria. Dry hopped with a really nice lot of Washington-grown Cascade. Re-fermented in a bottle with Brett. This beer is best consumed fresh. It is well conditioned now, and the dry hop character will fade over time. $15, 1 per person. And the way that they've changed their taproom experiences, they've made 2 separate lines. So when you come into the tap room, you will go into either a bottle line, if that's what you'd like to purchase, or go into a line for your draft beer. And that's supposed to make everything go a lot smoother and a lot quicker for everybody waiting in line for this awesome new beer.
Sounds awesome. Sounds great. Coming out soon this week. So it'll be great. Holy Mountain, one of those breweries that people like to go and wait in line for beers.
Hey, that's great. Good for them.
Yep. And that. Oh, forgot my thing here. That brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
We'll be back on January 6th with Doomsday Brewing. In January, look forward to interviews with Mike Hale of Hale's Ales and Fremont Brewing, and, of course, more.
All right, that's right. This show is produced and edited by me with engineering help from Michelle Rizzo.
If you'd like to contact us, you can email us at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com or on Twitter at nwbrewtalk.
We'd like to wish everybody a great holiday season, and thank you for sticking around with us through our first calendar year. I am Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay humping, my friends.